Hi, good morning. My name is Steve from the Stone Crafting Workshop, and today I'm going to try and carve a little shell like this out of marble. I've never done anything like this. I struggled a bit to think about how to do this because I can't actually visualize the shape in my mind. So unlike, for example, a polar bear or even a pangolin, I can visualize that. I can visualize how to do it, and I can work out the process step by step of how I get to carve those things. But a seashell, a little shell like this, a little spirally thing, I don't really have any step by step plan. So join me in the workshop and see how I get on. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to work out the shape of this thing, because if you look at it, it can't be made out of a simple, I can't simply make a cone shape. I've got to think about the way this is constructed so that I can get a basic kind of outline. And what it looks like to me is a kind of double cone shape. So a cone there and there, forming one cone, and then another one down here, with the angle of the top and bottom of the cone at a sort of angle to the whole thing. And just draw what it should be, the kind of blank shape that I need. Doing that very badly. Why didn't I turn the paper around? Because I'm not very bright. And the kind of apex of that bulge is there. The apex of that bulge is over there. That comes around like that. Now unfortunately this shell I picked up off the beach and it's lost this part of the shell, so I don't know. I'm going to guesstimate that one. So that shape should give me the basic shape I need to grind out. Incidentally, the marble I'm going to use is this. I've no idea what it is. I may change my mind once I've sawn this, but it's a horrible thing. I picked it up on one of my car boot sales when I was trying to buy Onyx, and I thought for this particular project it might be interesting, mainly because it's very thick, so I can get a nice, this is about 30 mil, something like that. Yeah, 30 mil. So I'm going to cut a 30 by 30 mil box roughly. And it's an ashtray, so who the heck wants one of them in their house? It's a horrible thing, but I'm hoping the marble's nice. I could be completely wrong about this, but we'll find out. The original horrible ashtray had a varnish finish on it, so it was a really pleasant surprise when I cut into it and found it was a beautiful white marble, almost pure white. So I then proceeded to cut a block, roughly the size I thought I needed, and then marked out what I think of as a blank. This is very easy to cut out on an overhead saw, but you could do this on an ordinary tile saw. So having cut it out in one profile, as it were, in one angle, I then turned it over and cut it the other way round. So this was a kind of blank for forming two cones, one on top of the other, as it were. I've got a nice coarse disc on here, 50 grit. And all I did was try and straighten up these angles a bit, trying to get the angle of the pencil mark is forming the kind of apex of the bulge around the centre of the shell. I then changed to 100 grit and started to grind off the corners to form a circular cone, or two circular cones really, one on top of the other. You can see how soft this marble is by the slurry on my thumb. when you're grinding and polishing marble, you don't often see slurry like that. So having done one side, I then turn it over and started on the other. Working on the corners first, taking down the corners and then rounding it round. Trying to keep this angle. This pencil line represents the centre of the bulge on the shell. Does that make sense? Got to try and mark the spirals. Not totally clear where to start. What I'm intending to do at the moment is mark them in pencil, and then when I think they're in the right place, I'll mark them on with pen. There. I drew this out, but I can't help thinking I've got it wrong. So I'm going to start again. Just clean off the pencil marks. This is quite a soft marble. Let's start again. So I've set up my cordless. This is my cordless Parkside rotary grinder because of my 240 volt one, the mains version, doesn't work in the vise. It doesn't like it at all. Whereas this is it's actually a stronger machine, I think. And I've moved the water around. And the idea is that I want to work like this, because I find if I'm trying to work by hand, trying to, shape things round, I'm a bit wobbly on that. So I'm just going to cut this spiral in for a start, and as you see I've inked it now, so hopefully it won't run. This marble's very soft. I've got a diamond wheel on it. I'm going to swap it for one of the little fibre ones you get with the little carborundum ones you get. See if that is a bit gentler. And certainly that seemed to be the case. The carborundum disc is actually thinner and smoother than the diamond ones. And having gone round once, I then realised that I needed to be deeper so that I could round over those sections of the shell. I then fitted a burr, a tapered barrel burr, just to start rounding over those sections. You'll see it a bit better here. And certainly for this part of the work, I found fitting it in the rotary tool in a vise and moving the stone piece around was much easier than trying to hold it and carve away. And you can see the curve starting to take shape. I'll change of tool. I'm actually more using the flat face of this tool. It's a lovely little burr. I love these. I'm going to buy some more. And I'm just using the flat face to start curving over, basically taking chamfers off all the corners. Just thought I'd use a bit of wet and dry just to get rid of some of the flats. Then I fitted an ordinary barrel burr and started to shape the top part of the shell. This was the most challenging bit of all, really. It's difficult to visualise. And I started to cut the hole in the shell. Incidentally, I marked up using a pen, and on this particular marble that proved to be a mistake. You can see it there, it's spread, and I ended up actually having to grind it out. It didn't matter on the spiral of the shell because I was cutting those out, but on this bit you'll see it's still there. So at this point I'm cutting not only the edge of the opening but also the spiral bit that goes down inside it. Does that make sense? So here I'm trying to curve around that spiral bit and give it some depth. I also about now started to become aware of just how fragile this thing was. I frequently picked up the shell and had a look at them side by side just to get a sense of where I was supposed to be going. And it's just a question of shaping and rounding off. At this point I was actually trying to get rid of the ink. As I say, this marble was so soft that the ink had actually stained it, which is fairly unusual. And in the end I used this tool to make the opening bigger and bigger until I'd got rid of the ink line completely by grinding it away. Wasn't the end of the world, and in fact it meant I made this slot deeper and deeper, which was a really satisfying thing to do. I'm sitting here reliving how much I was enjoying this. And this too, at this point I'm trying to make the centre of the spiral, as it were, go round the corner behind itself. Do you get that folding round? I'm using a narrow tool now to make that deeper and deeper. I'm pushing this tool in and down. And then I just use a roller to try and shape it, to try and get some shape to the top half of the shell. Didn't entirely succeed. Here I'm trying to just cut those angled runnels in the top of the shell. Didn't work entirely. I'll try and think of something else next time I do one of these. I'm going to make a lot of these shells in all sorts of ways because this was such fun. And although this looks really good in the white, I think in Onyx it's just going to look fantastic. Green Onyx. That'll be the next shell I make, I suspect. But I wanted to do this and learn how to do this and practice this. There's something quite satisfying about finishing off a job by hand. I'm just trying to take some of the flats off of it, a few of the marks. I'm not even going to attempt to polish this. The marble's too soft. And I'm pretty certain now that this is statuary marble. You know, it's the stuff the Romans and the Greeks made all their statues out of. And the reason they used it was because it was quite soft to work. So So I'm just trying to introduce a little bit of subtle shaping into this. The lines I put round here I simply want to show up faintly. I don't want to be deep marks, but I don't want this to look completely smooth. I can't recreate this finish on this shell. I can't do that, I don't think. I mean, I'm certain I can't. But I want to get somewhere towards having this look kind of natural. The curves need to be reasonably smooth. But at the same time, I'm having to be very gentle with it because it's not very strong. This has been really satisfying and enjoyable. I really do suggest that you have a Dremel. Try and find a bit of softish stone and try something like this, because it's taken me, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours I suppose. Perhaps not as long as that, but, and I've been utterly engrossed by doing it. There we go, that's starting to look nice. I'm just going to go with a finer grade just to reduce the scratching on the... That was a 220 grade wet and dry. This is a 600 grit wet and dry. As I say, I can't be too vigorous with this because I'll snap it. It's quite satisfying really. It's probably as fragile as a shell. I'm going to continue rubbing this down for probably 10 minutes or so. And at the end of the video I'll show you some photos of what this looks like dry. It's actually got water inside the shell, isn't that nice? And there we are. I've really enjoyed this. It's been a challenge. Doing a kind of really twisty abstract shape like this is really difficult, and I haven't got it dead right, but you know, I'm quite content with what I've done today, and I've learned huge amounts. I could have done this bit better. I need to think that one through next time. But on the whole, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you find it inspirational. I hope you take up stone carving with a Dremel type tool, a rotary tool, because it's huge fun and a very peaceful thing to do. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, and if you want to see me do more things and try more things to do with stone crafting and you know, stone carving and what have you, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and keep yourselves safe.